that join anything from LearnlyApp kind of know me already, but then for formality's sake, to establish the protocol, because I can't say standing on existing protocols. So let me establish the protocol. I'm Biemi Pedro. I'm also the founder of LearnlyApp. We have a couple of people from LearnlyApp also here with us, a social media and community manager and the head of operations here with us. But then this is the basics of project management workshop session that we have. It is part of a series that we are running in LearnlyApp, which is getting started in tech. And the idea is to help people navigate into tech. People that want to get into tech, want to help them make a soft landing into tech. Because, of course, tech is where the money is. And aside from tech being where the money is, tech is the future. In the next 10, 15 years, something I like to say is it is going to be almost impossible for you to get a job anywhere without having a tech skill. So we are trying to help people, get into tech, help people get better at tech if you're already in tech, and basically help as many Nigerians and Africans that we can help. And this is like the big general vision of LearnlyApp. LearnlyApp, we are trying to build a platform that would help people get started in tech. We know that a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people in Africa really want to get into tech. They want to get better and they want to operate on a global stage. They want to work in international firms. And maybe taking from my own personal example, I got started in tech 5, 6 years ago, and my journey has been quite amazing. I've gotten jobs that have been international jobs. I've gotten jobs that have taken me out of the country. And I truly believe that the future is tech. The field is not choked. It is actually just getting started. If you are listening around, you would know that there's a lot of startups, a lot of companies, a lot of things in tech around. If you are listening to the news, and it is only going to increase. Tech is not a field that stands alone. Tech is a field that cuts across multiple industries. So because of that, there will always be need for tech experts, people that are competent and proficient in tech. And LearnlyApp is supposed to be your guide to make it very easy for you to get into tech, grow in tech, and learn in a fun and engaging way. So today we have our speaker for today. She is a project manager that has worked in a couple of organizations, and maybe the highlight of it in Nigeria would be Access Bank. She was a project manager at Access Bank before, of course, tech took out of the country. So she's going to be speaking to us on the basics of project management, and the session is going to be for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then we can ask. But if sometime in between, somewhere in between, you want to ask questions, please use the chat. We can always look at the chat and look at the questions and address and answer your questions whenever we need. So without wasting much time, our speaker, Ifeoluwa Ibieme, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining today's call, today's session. And I'll be speaking on basics of project manager or management. Yeah, as a project manager. So before I start, I would want this session to be as interactive as possible. We'll be using our chat box a lot. So if you have questions, if I'm asking questions, you can drop comments in the chat box and or you know, I'll read them. I'll go through every one of them. Before I start, I would like to thank you, Pedro. Thank you for this session, for the opportunity for this session. So I'd like to give a brief background about my career, how it started. I started project management straight out of school. Out of the university, I was quite fortunate. I got an entry level role into an insurance organization in Nigeria, and I was put in the project management, IT project management to be specific. And uh, unfortunately, when I joined, the project manager that was in the company left. So he left like a couple of weeks before I joined, myself and one other guy who came from the training school. And we had to figure out project management on our own. We had to figure out the documentation, communication, negotiation with people, project planning, and all of that. It was hard work. So I learned on the job. I did not have someone to look up to say, okay, someone to shadow to help me through. So what helped me in my journey when I started my career about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, was sections like this, YouTube, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. I had to involve myself in learning, taking my time to learn, because there was no other way to get the job done. And then from there, I moved to Access Bank. In Access Bank, I was in IT PMO. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss PMO. We'll discuss project management as we're going into this course. Hi, Priscilla. So this session, I want to be sure that I have my target audience is targeted towards people that are interested in getting into project management, and people that maybe they are entry levels in project management and they want to gain more knowledge about project management. So if you are getting started in project management, or you are interested in project management, please just let me know. Drop your comments. Let me know if you're already a project manager or you're interested in just starting out. Let me know. I'll be waiting for your comments. Hi, Neka. She's a beginner. When you say beginner, like you already work as a project manager or you have the interest? Oh, great. Yes, sir. Oh, you have the interest. Great, great. Yeah, thank you for joining. And I would say that you've made a very good choice, joining this. This is how it's you start, and you keep going. Chidera said he or she is interested in starting. Perfect. Perfect. I have the right people on the call. Great. Let's start. So I'll be sharing my slides, and I'll be turning off my camera if that is okay. And then I'm going to try as much as possible to make this session relatable. And Musa, do you want to say something? Your hands is up. Okay, maybe that's a mistake. Because I love my weekend, so I want us to get this done and, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Let me share my slides now. Please confirm that you can see my slide.
Yes, we can see.
We can see your slide, ma.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you. 1 minute.
We also have like a poll going on in the chat, so you can basically indicate your level in project management.
Okay, I'll take it to slideshow. All right. Can you still see my slide?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I kind of divided this session into two, or the topic into two, the projects and then the management. So I'll be starting with the projects. I won't be able to see the chat now. I would have loved to ask people that, so what do they think a project is? What is a project? Let me see if I can see the chat. Can someone tell me what a project is? No response. Okay, I'll just go ahead. So we are going to be talking about a project, what it is. I'll also give my definition of a project. We'll be talking about the project life cycle and then the project constraints. This project constraint may be a lot of information, so I'll just probably run through it And then, as we progress, I would advise us to also, like someone said, she's already taking a course on Udemy, so to also learn more on our own. So I'm going to go right into what a project is right now. According to PMI is the Project Management Institute. That's I don't know, most of us would have heard about PMP. PMI is the institute that issues the PMP certificate, that also issues the CAPM certificate. So they define project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. And then there's also Prince 2. Prince 2 is another body of knowledge in project management. They define a project as a temporary organization that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to a specified business case. We'll discuss about business case as we move on in this session. So before I go to my own definition, we are going to notice one consistent thing in these two definitions, and that's temporary. So when we talk about a project, I love using this particular example. That's a wedding. Like a guy proposed to a lady, and then she accepted to marry him, and then they define a date for their wedding. So when they say temporary, or when we say temporary, a project is temporary. There's a defined start date, and then there's a defined end date. So for, say, the wedding, for instance, we want to have the wedding 2 days, say 2nd of October and then 3rd of October. So there's a start date and there's an end date. If your project keeps running from now till God knows when, that is not a project, it's an operation, because operation is continuous, continues, while project is defined. It's very temporary. You start this day and we end this day. If the end date tends to shift, there is a process around that. We can't just, say, I cannot conclude or end this project today. I'm moving into next week. No, there's a process around shifting or moving your end dates. So I would define a project as a series of tasks performed over a period of time, and then you curate a desired result, service, or a product. So I'm sure we are very familiar with software applications like Google Maps. Google Maps, I'm showing me shaking. That's why it came to my mind now. Like Google Maps, Google Map is like a project. Like it's okay, like a product. When we are saying products, it's a product. It could be a service. It could be like a rendering a service to someone. Take, for instance, this particular wedding project. You have your caterer. Your caterer is doing the project of rendering you a service. It could be a result. It could be a result. So project could be a service. It could be a product. It could be a result. So that's the very basic definition of projects. It's temporary, and then the end goal is to create a product, a service, or a result. But emphasis on the fact that project is temporary. It is not continuous. It doesn't continue. If it is continuous, that is an operation. So I'll be moving straight into project life cycle. So we have 5 stages or 5 phases, of project life cycle. We have the initiation stage, the planning stage, the execution or launch phase, the performance and control phase, and the closing phase. So performance and controlling, what we could also say monitoring and control. Some people say that. For the initiation stage, initiation is where the idea is brought to life. Say you want to develop a mobile application that tells you about the weather, tells you what the weather says today, tomorrow, if it's going to rain. That's an idea. You have it in your head. You want to bring it to life. So that's the initiation stage. You define what you want. So that's why I was say define the goals, what you want to achieve at the end of the project. When you're done with the project, this is what I want to achieve. You define a business case. So now let me go deeply or briefly into what a business case is. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. Business case is a document It provides justification.
No, sorry. Can I ask a question? Sorry. Hello.
Oh, no,
Hello.
yes, you can ask questions. There are some questions in the chat, so we'll pick them from the chat and then address them. So you can ask
Okay.
questions in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I was talking about the business case document. So the business case is a document. It justifies why you want to start a project. So it's you come up with the cost of the project, the duration of the project, the resources needed for this project, and also the cost benefit analysis or the value that you realize at the end of this project. So if the costs that you be the amount, let me use the word amount that you be spending on this project is more than the value that you realize at the end of the project, you may as well want to not start the project at all, because that's like a loss, waste of money. So business case, that's the document that shows or that justifies why you want to go into a project. In most cases, for me in my career, I've not had to write a business case from start to finish. I joined it. So I don't know if you're aware, but we have some people we call the business analysts. So when we want to start a project, when a stakeholder, I'll define who a stakeholder is later. When a stakeholder wants to start a project, they sit with the business analysis team to curate the business case. In some cases, the project manager is part of this discussion. In some other cases, in some companies, the project managers are not part of the discussion. So it depends on the dynamics of, different organizations. But I have never had to be in the situation where I define the business case. Okay, so that's the business case. It justifies why a project needs to be done. And then we also have the project charter. The project charter would, my boss would say that's the Bible of a project. So this is done by the project manager. You have your project goals, the requirements of the project, the objectives of the project, the resources needed for the project. So when we say resources in project management, it's more than money. It's more than cost, it's more than the budget. We are talking about the facilities you need. We are talking about the people that you need to work on that project. Because as a project manager, you're not necessarily the person, developing a software, or the person building a house, or the person doing all the activities in preparation for a wedding. You are more like a leader or a coordinator, a manager. That's what we call a manager of other people. You manage other people that are in charge of these projects, but you like oversee the activities, or you're working with your stakeholders, other people. We call them stakeholders in project management, to achieve the end goal of the project. So the project chapter is like the Bible. It's a very small document. It's a document. We have a lot of documents in project management. There's a document that shows, okay, this is the goal, this is what we are doing, these are the people involved, this is the timeline, and these are, when I say people, resources, cost, and everything. So I'll be moving to project planning. Project planning is one of the most important phase in project management. If you get your project planning right, trust me, your project is going to go almost as smoothly as possible. It's very important in project management. So project planning is where you break down the requirements. So you already have your requirements in your project charter, but then it's high level, because project charter does not have a lot of, like I said, it's a very small document. So you are breaking the high level requirements into small deliverables, into small tasks, and then you assign these tasks to people, or you maybe not assign here, but you plan around the task, or you prioritize. Oh, say the wedding, for example, the first thing you want to do is get a hall. That's prioritization. That's what is on your list. Those are the deliverables. Get a hall, get your decorator, get a wedding theme, get the wedding, colors. These are deliverables. You already know what you want to do in your wedding, but you are breaking it down into deliverables. And then when you are breaking it down into deliverables, you are thinking, oh, who's going to work on this? That's the resource. Who's going to work on this? And then you're also getting the costs. How much is it going to cost me? You may not have the specific cost in mind, or you have a budget. That's why we talk about projects in project management. So this is where you create your plan. And then we have, I create about 3 plans when I'm doing my planning. I create the delivery plan. It's like breaking down what happens daily, what happens weekly, and then you detail the dependencies. Dependencies are like people that you depend on to achieve those tasks. And I also create a timeline here. And I also have the communication plan. Communication plan, this is where you know who you are communicating with, the information you are sharing with them, when you are going to share the information with them, how you are going to share the information with them, and how often you share the information with them. In project management, I'm trying not to go into so much details. We have people we call, this thing we call RACI. RACI is a person responsible, accountable, the people you communicate to, and the people you inform. So these are your stakeholders. So you have to like put them in a box of, oh, this person, I just inform him about the updates on the project. This person, I have to let them be involved. I give them, or I give the person a daily update of the project. They are involved. And then you have your people, say, for a software project, you have your developers that you must talk to. You must do your daily sprint or daily scrum, discussing with them, getting to know what they've done and what they are yet to complete on their given task. So this is what the planning is all about. The third plan I curate, I've already mentioned the delivery plan, the communication plan, and the resource plan. The third plan I curate is the resource plan. I've mentioned the delivery and communication plan. So the third one I curate is the resource plan. This is where I identify the people that I need to work on the project. So once you're done with your planning, sweet, good. You move to execution. Execution is where you get the job done. This is where you say, hey, I'm having meetings with these people. Your software developers for a software project, or maybe you're building a website. You sit with them and then show them the plan. And here you set up meetings, a lot of meetings. Project management is like a lot of meetings, 80% communication, more than 80% communication. This is where you say, okay, Shola, you're working on this, and then this is your timeline. So person you're working on, this is your timeline. You've already prioritized when you were planning, so you know who to assign this to. That's when it comes to communication. You do the assigning here, and you also do the meeting. You discuss with them that this is what they will do at so time, and then you also. So performance and control is sort of done together, with execution. So when you are executing, you're also doing performance check, controlling. The performance check is I'm tracking this person. Shola, you're supposed to work on this and complete it tomorrow. Then you message Shola tomorrow. It could be on Slack, it could be on Teams, it could be a call. Are you done? Do you have a blocker? What is the blocker? Then you sit together to resolve whatever the blocker or dependencies are or is. So that's what execution. And you also meet with your stakeholders. I love this part, because when I became the PMO, I became one of the big stakeholders. I get the reports, I get the status updates every week from all the project managers. So this is another part of execution. You want to make sure that your stakeholders or your project sponsor, the person that paid for the project, is informed every week, at least every week, of the status updates of this project. If there's any issue, any risk, any issue at all, you let them know. If there's any delay, you let them know, because they are very, very much interested in the project. Because like most of the time, they're the ones that come up with the project. And like I said, project is temporary. As a project manager, you work on a project for a specific period of time. You're done with the project, you deliver the project, you move on to another one. So you practically don't have any, how do I say, any, how do I put it now? You don't have, you're not the owner of the project. You don't own the project. Yes, that's it in the word. So then we move to closing when you're done with your launch. And then, like I said, monitoring and control, performance and control is done with the execution. So you move to closing. This is where you confirm that, oh, every of the requirements has been satisfied, and you hand over these projects. Like I said, there's always a stakeholder, there's always a business owner. So the business owner, you review the deliverables, you confirm, like you're checking your requirements or your acceptance criteria. That's like you create your acceptance criteria when you are doing your initiation. I didn't mention that. Like at the end of this project, we want to achieve this. So at the end of the project, you check the acceptance criteria and then, okay, this is done, tick. And you hand over the project, you get all, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of documentations go on in project management, especially waterfall methodology. So you get your project, approved, confirmed, done. So another important part of this project management closing phase is lessons learned. When you are done, you want to make sure you document every mistakes you made on the way and how you were able to resolve the mistake. This is done because in the nearest future or in the farthest future, you come across a similar project, or even someone that comes into the organization come across a similar project, they are able to go into document of a related, like I said, similar project, and then see, oh, this was the issues they encountered during the project. This was how it was resolved. This was the lessons learned during the project. So it's like a document that you can always refer to not repeat the same mistakes or the errors you made in a completed project. So that's the project life cycle described in detail. So these other parts, I'm going to rush through it because I still have to move to the project management discussion. So project constraints are like limits within which a project must operate. So before the PMI, that's the Project Management Institute, we had three major constraints, and that's the scope, the time, or that's time or schedule, and then cost. There were three, but now we have six: scope, quality, time, budget, and then resources and risk. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details about this, but I'm still going to talk about scope later. Excuse me, but scope is like features and functions of a product or a scope of work needed to finish a project. And then the schedule, it's like what needs to be done, how long it has to be done. So yeah, defining the time. That's why we have schedule and time. What needs to be done at a particular time and how long you're assigning to that task that needs to be done. And then we have resources. Resources are the people, the capital, the facilities, the materials that are required for the successful execution or completion of a project. And then we have the quality. Quality it measures how well your deliverable meets your expectation. Expectation is what you have at the beginning of the project. I want to achieve this. So when you are done with the project or when you are in execution stage, you are checking, does this deliverable meet with my expectation or meet with my stakeholders' expectation? And then risk are like risk are anticipated. Funny, we have issues and risk in project management. So, but risk are like what could happen. You define your risk even before you start your project. What could happen in the process of this project execution? But issues come up during the project. So risk could be a constraint. They could limit the success of your project. Any of these constraints, they could limit the success of your project. They could extend the timeline. They could extend the budget, which is not what a project manager wants. So as someone that is getting started in project manager, this may be very new. And then I would encourage you to read more on this. And I think after this session, I can also share the slides with you. So now we'll be moving to the project management. That's the management stage of project management. And then I'll define project management. Project management as defined by Project Management Institute is the use of specific knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value to people. So you're using your knowledge. And then the sweet thing about project management is it is not science, it is an act. And your project management skill, knowledge, methodology, or whatever can be tailored to specific project you're handling. Say a project, the wedding. You definitely will not use the method or skills that you use for a software project, for a wedding project, definitely. So it's an act, and then you can tailor your skills, to the specific projects you're handling or you're managing. That's the sweet thing and interesting thing about project management. It's very broad, wide, and interesting. So it's not boring, never boring. But trust me, it's not the most easy career out there, but it's never boring because you're handling or managing different projects at a time that requires different knowledge, skill, tools sometimes, and techniques. So I'm going to move straight into the skills required by a project manager. We have two major types of skills, the soft skills and then the hard skills. I would describe these soft skills as personality traits that impact your work. So it's not just about project management now. It could be something personal. It could be useful in any phase of your life or any stage of your life. And then we have the hard skill. Hard skill, I would define that as applicable to specific role. So they are like technical skills that you need to be successful in project management. So for the soft skills, there's stakeholder management. This is why I say project management can be a bit, it's not like the easiest career out there because you are managing people and people are not the easiest to manage. This is why your stakeholder management skills must be top notch. As a beginner, you're just starting, you can harness this skill, learn the skills, build up the skills, but it is necessary for you to be a successful project manager. Stakeholders are people that are affected or impacted by your project. They may not be involved in your project. Your stakeholder is your software developer, your front-end software developer, back-end software developer, UI UX person. And say if you're designing an ERP project, most of the time involved, say in the bank, in Access Bank, we want to upgrade our ERP. ERP has the finance team involved, the HR team involved, the corporate comms team involved, everybody feeding into it's like what everybody use in the organization. So imagine the large set of stakeholders that you have because everybody in this team needs to be involved in the project. Maybe not everybody in HR, but they will definitely have representative. So the way you manage somebody from HR, because of their understanding of HR and their knowledge of very basic knowledge of project management, or even their own part of the ERP is different from somebody from finance. So you have to your project management skills must be top notch. Stakeholder management skills rather must be top notch. Know how to, manage different people. And then communication, like I mentioned earlier, communication is 80% skills needed by a project manager. You are always talking. You're always meeting with someone. You're always in a meeting, one meeting or the other. It definitely will be verbal communication and then written communication. You're sending emails, you're writing presentations, you are updating your deliverables, you're tracking, communication is an essential skill in project management. Then in your presentation skills, because you're going to be giving reports to your stakeholders, it could be the executive, it could be your colleagues. I call my software developers colleagues because most of the time we sit on the same floor. Your presentation skill is important. Leadership skill. As a project manager, you are managing people. You are in charge of a project. It is your baby. The project is your baby, and you have to lead people to ensure that they are involved mentally involved, physically involved in the project to be successful. Because if you yourself as a project manager, you're not involved, it's going to, I don't know how you want to manage the people. I don't know. And then the hard skills, I use Excel a lot, a lot. I used Excel. I still use Excel a lot as a project manager. So that's why I have the office suite here. Excel, the PowerPoint, and then Word document. And then there's Microsoft project. This may be intense because except it's not all organizations that use Microsoft projects. I think it's only my first organization, that's the insurance organization I work to, use Microsoft projects. And there's Jira. I use Jira at some point. There's SharePoint. SharePoint is like a document management system. So these are specific to organizations. There is Trello. We have a lot of project management tools. Yeah, and then another hard skill you need is delegation. Like I mentioned, you are assigning tasks to people. Know who. Not like you have a design, you want to design something and then you're assigning design to a tester. No. So your delegation skills must be top. And then negotiation skills, oh my God. You will talk. People will try to play on your intelligence, and then you just know how to go around people, know how to negotiate with them, know how to negotiate time. If you know that my project will be delivered in 2 months, but then you want someone to work on something for a week, try as much as possible to negotiate that the person should complete it in 4 or 5 days. You know, it's a very sweet skill to learn as a project manager. So I'll be moving to the different methodologies we have in project management. I've taken a lot of time, so I'm going to just, run through. These are the two key main methodologies, because we have Six Sigma and Kanban, I think. We have the waterfall methodology and the agile methodology. Waterfall methodology is also called the predictive. It's very predictable. That's the one I mentioned earlier. You start from planning, initiation to planning to execution to monitoring, and then it's like, it's like waterfall. So it's coming down. You start from the initiation and you do your planning, that's why it's called waterfall. And this is mostly used in a construction organization, or some IT companies also use waterfall. Yeah. And then agile projects is an evolving and collaborative way to ensure self-organized teams, self-organization across all teams. So it's more like it's adaptive. So I'm going to give an example of an agile project. Yeah, perfect example is X. That's the former Twitter. See the way Musk is coming up with different things. Sorry, the word skips my mind right now. Different things on X. Like today, it's you get revenue. Now I saw his recent tweet rather, that there will be call and video call and voice call on X. So that's like agile. He does something, drops it, everybody uses it, and then he moved to another deliverable. Yeah, let me use the word deliverable. And then he drops it and everybody uses it. So you're not waiting to the end of the project before you drop all your deliverables. We are dropping them in sprints. We call them sprints. So you're dropping them bit by bit in sprints, and they are usable. So that's the interesting thing about agile. You are not waiting for 6 months before you drop the whole project. Boom. You are dropping them in bits, and then you can even get reward. You can get revenue for the first deliverable you ship out, and then the second deliverable maybe after a month. In a month you complete one, you are done. In the next month you complete another sprint, you ship it out. So that is agile. Agile is very, very adaptive. So you keep moving, and then you are done with your project. So I'm going to move to key terms. For people that are new into project management, I've defined a stakeholder. There are people that are impacted by the project. they don't have to be actively involved. They don't need to code, but they are impacted by the project. Like the ERP project I mentioned, the HR is impacted by the project. This HR is your stakeholder. And then almost one Yoruba word came to my mind. In Yoruba, they say babambari. The key stakeholder is the project sponsor. That's the person that dropped the money, the big guy that dropped the money for this project. And that person must be carried along. Is your key stakeholder. Is involved. His money is involved. So you cannot, you must carry that person along. And then the requirement is like 1 minute. Requirement is like a group of tasks or conditions that must be completed and finished to say, oh, your project is successful. Like you define your requirement at the beginning. Then the scope, I mentioned the scope earlier, is a detailed outline of all the aspects of the project. It includes the resources, it includes the timeline, and then also the deliverables. The deliverables are like a set of tasks, small tasks that will be done by your responsible people or dependencies or stakeholders. You can decide to call them responsible people, dependencies, or stakeholders. And then we have the milestone. The milestone, yeah, this is the first time we mentioning milestone. Milestone marks a specific point along your project. Say, like I mentioned in X, they delivered this revenue thing recently, and that's like a milestone. They tick it off. Oh, that's done. So milestones, it could be a group of activities, but they are done, they are completed. Or it could be what is done or what will be done. I don't know if you understand. Like you've achieved a particular milestone, or you are yet to achieve a particular milestone, but like there are a group of activities that you need to achieve and say, okay, this is done in your project plan. And then there's a scope creep. Yeah, scope creep. Every project manager tries to avoid a scope creep. Oh Jesus. Scope creep occurs when a client adds tasks outside of the scope. The scope has been defined. We define the scope when we start a project. But then some clients are like, oh, I want to add this thing. I forgot to add this thing. And it causes scope creep because it could increase the number of time to complete the deliverable or to complete the project. It could also increase the budget. Yeah, so it just affects the whole project affects the whole project. So we try to avoid this. And how we try to avoid this is by getting approval. Once you define your scope, everybody signs, this is approved by all the stakeholders involved, and we move on. If you want to change it, there's something we call change request in project management. Everybody that signed the previous one, did the previous approval will come and say, okay, this change is okay. We can see the reason for the change, and then they approve the change. So it could be change of the scope or change in timelines. It could be change in resources or change in anything, but there must be a change request. As I mentioned, if you can remember, that if you are extending your timeline, there is a process, and the process is the change request. It is a must in project management, especially in waterfall project management. So yeah, this is a bonus for me. Roles in project management. We have it's project management. We can just assume that, oh, is a project manager. No, like I said, I started as a project manager, but I'm the big guy now. PMO. PMO is like they oversee the project managers. They are like, the project managers report to them. So there is PMO administrator, there is PMO analyst, and then there's the big guy, the biggest guy, the PMO manager. And then we have project coordinators, we have program manager, we have project manager, and then portfolio manager. There's one other thing that I want to add, but I think let me take questions first before I move to this last part. Thank you for your time. I hope I did not talk or speak too fast, and I hope you're able to get quite a number of things I said. I spent more than the time I wanted to, but I hope all is good. So thank you, and I'm going to be taking questions now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the session. I have a couple of questions we are going to ask But first, for those that are already on the call, we have some polls going on, so you can engage with the polls. It's just some questions from the session. Okay. From one of the questions we have here, says, what's the difference between project management and product management?
I was anticipating this question. Well, I knew this question was going to come up. Funny enough, I didn't prepare for the answer. But project management is like we defined management of skills, using your skills, knowledge to create a project. While product is, I'll use again X. X is a product. You're managing that particular product, and it can be continuous. You can be a product manager for X from the start of your career to the end of your career. So far, you got hired into the organization as a product manager. But a project manager, you don't sit on one project, you move. Even product manager, you can move, but you know that you are assigned to this particular product. So it's they are different. They're very, very different. And product management is quite new. I think about 3 or 4, 5 years ago now. That's when we started learning about product management. But project management has been in existence for years. Years. I hope I was able to answer the question well.
I think the question was asked by Chinwe. So Chinwe, and maybe if I can add a little thing about it, for product management, you are basically in charge of, maybe not basically in charge of the product, but you are managing the products, and you cover, of course, while project management handles couple of things. The product itself can have multiple projects in it. There could be different, phases in the project for a particular product. So project management in a typical startup company structure, the project managers are somewhat under the product manager in the hierarchy, because the product manager are like in charge of the product. If you go from the example you gave us before of Google Maps, so Google Maps can have a product manager, the person that is managing Google Maps, and there could now be different sub-project maps, and with different project managers working on it. And of course, the project managers under Google Maps can decide to go and work on another feature, maybe Google Search, or, like you mentioned, project managers can move around. But it's just to bring focus. I think the core, the reason for the introduction between having the difference between project management and product management is to have responsibilities for a particular product. If you want someone that will take responsibility for a product, you meet the product manager. And there could be a lot of projects going on within an organization, multiple projects within a product, multiple projects across different products. And project managers, can move from one project to another depending on what happens. But if you want someone that takes, responsibility for a product, then it's a product manager that handles that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep. Musa, I see you have your hands raised. Do you also have a question?
I think it has been like that for a while now.
Okay. Hope your hand is not pinning you, Musa. For some time. Okay. Do we have any other question? I know somebody asked if we can get the slides. Yes, definitely you can get the slides. So one thing we want to do also is please drop your social media handles in the chat so that we can tag you with it. And then, of course, we have your emails. We can send you the slides to your personal emails afterwards. But we would like to, tag you in the conversations, and continue with you. So if you can drop your social media handles, so we can use that to continue to keep the conversations going. So I see another question here. What kind of projects can a beginner start with? So
you can start with practically any project, but then make sure that if you're starting, with a small project that does not have a lot of budget attached to it, so that in case anything happens, you don't lose money. But you can start with any project. If you're in an organization already, you can speak to your manager, to let you handle quite a number of projects. But if not, I would say, I always say, we manage projects. It's just that we don't take cognizance of it in our lives. We like you could have maybe I want to write an exam with certification next month, and it's a project on its own. Or maybe you want to travel to another city. It's for vacation. It's a project on its own. So if you all these attributes or skills and that are listed now, if you start taking them, taking cognizance of them, and then breaking it down as if you start, just handle your life or things you do in your life that are timed, that are temporary as a project. It's a project on its own. You can start building the skills, your project management skills that way. I said a wedding. Maybe one of your friends is getting married soon. You could say, "Oh, I want to be a project manager." That's a project. So yeah, you can start with practically any project.
Okay. So you can decide to plan your parents' 50th wedding anniversary as a mini project. You can start with that. And then, maybe generally talking about getting started in tech, maybe if you could look for maybe internship roles that could help you out as a intern project manager. So you can, I think, get more technical, especially for the tech world. So you can work with Scrum, Agile, these big words that they're speaking in project management. So working with someone, shadowing someone as a beginner can also help you in the work environment if you want to start with that. Okay, so we have a couple of Tega, I think Tega is there. So we have a couple of people here so that we can use it and continue the conversations. I don't know, do we still have any other question? We still have some time left on our hands. Do we still have any other questions? And to mention also, this particular workshop is brought together by LearnlyApp Edtech, and we have a bootcamp coming next month. We would have much more bootcamps, even the project management bootcamps, and it's all free. If you have not heard or used LearnlyApp, it's free on Play Store. You can download. We have resources. It makes learning a bit very engaging for you, and we plan on bringing, project management in a gamified way. So you'll be learning project management, playing through activities. Just like you saw while we were learning, there were some pools, quizzes, basically making learning that engaging for you alongside with, different workshops. So that's basically what LearnlyApp tries to do. We try to make getting into tech very easy for everybody and straightforward. And there'll be more amazing guests. Of course, Ifeoluwa is going to be back with us during the bootcamp that we are going to have on project management to make it more in-depth. Probably we can also maybe manage a project during the bootcamp, which we anticipate is going to be free. So also follow LearnlyApp also. We are also going to tag everybody, continue this conversation, keep you guys posted on everything that we have going on. But also our own social media handle is the LearnlyApp, the THE LearnlyApp on all social media platforms. And it's just there. So would be reaching out to you just to mention that. Okay, another question. Okay, I think this is for me. Does LearnlyApp have classes one can enroll, and are there recommendations for people we can shadow? Okay, yeah, for classes that you can enroll, currently we have Getting Started in Tech on LearnlyApp, which is free for everyone. Yes, you can enroll in that. Next month we have Product Management, basically UI UX, a bootcamp, 3 weeks bootcamp starting on the 16th. On LearnlyApp, the post is there. You can also see on the comments, I think Shewa is going to drop the link for that. But we are going to have that. And for people you can shadow, yes, LearnlyApp also conducts or hosts free internships for people, basically placing them in organizations. And their mentors, of course, like the amazing fellow that just spoke, and a couple of other mentors we have on LearnlyApp. Currently, we have about 15 plus mentors across different industries, with the experience, and these are mentors you can reach out to. So I will post the link to the Slack community here. You can join the Slack community there. And for instance, looking for someone to shadow in project management, you could reach out to Ifeoluwa Grace, and she would always, answer you whenever you ask. I want to believe she's going to. Will you answer us, Ma, when we reach out, Ma?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, good. So you see, we have amazing mentors that you can reach out to. I've posted a link in the chat for you to join our Slack channel, and she's also there in the Slack channel, so you can reach out to her. And there are also more mentors that we have available. You can reach out to and you can shadow. And when we have internship opportunities, of course, it's the people in our community we reach out to, to let them know that we have internship opportunities from LearnlyApp. We have partnership with an organization that has about 20,000 sub-organizations under them. And, they constantly look for talent from LearnlyApp. So we are here to help people, to get started on LearnlyApp. So there is a Slack link there that I just posted to join the LearnlyApp Slack. And you can join us on Slack there. And there are more mentors, to join. Yeah, if you have a question, please, do ask.
Before the next question, I want to add, so I want to mention certifications. That's the last thing I said I was going to do. Mention certifications that for a beginner you can write. And we have the PMI CAPM. That's a certified associate in PM, in project management. And I think it's about 300,000, I say 300,000, $300. So if you have that money, you can write the certification, or you can write associate in project management. That's APM. That's not as expensive as the ACPM. ACAPM. This one is $175, and there is the Prince 2 foundation. So there are two levels of Prince 2. There is a foundation and practitioner. But foundation is for beginners in project management. I don't know how much that is because it's specific to I think different countries, so you may have to confirm that yourself. And there's also for Agile, for Scrum, you can write PSM. PSM is about $150. So you can prepare for these exams and then write certifications, and it's going to be a very good boost, for you to learn more and also help your profile to get internship roles in project management. Yeah.
Okay. So, yep. Write certification. This also helps for your profile. We also have a Telegram community. We have a Slack community. We have a Telegram community. But I think when you follow us on LearnlyApp, you're going to get to learn more. I think it is going to really help you. Most of the things we are doing is to help a lot of people. Our vision really is to try to help. There are over 50 million youths in the whole of Africa. In Nigeria, over 30 million youths in Nigeria. And, everybody's trying to look for something to, something lucrative to do with their careers. And tech seems to be like, a good answer to that. And that's what LearnlyApp is here for. So follow LearnlyApp, try to learn more about LearnlyApp. We have a couple of programs already ongoing. We have more coming. We are looking to partner with more organizations, more people to bring even more programs to you. So if you learned anything on this, please do share it on our social media, share it on social media platforms and tag us. We would also be sharing, what we heard from here and be tagging you guys to, to grow the community. There is also a link to join our Slack community. We also have a Telegram community that works best for you. We try to serve people on wherever the community is. Thanks, guys, for joining. This is 12:01. And I know that this is Saturday. There are probably Owambe, that people want to attend. So before we officially close this, do you have any other questions you would like to ask about project management, about LearnlyApp, about getting started in tech, getting into tech? Is there a last question we can take before we leave? Going once, going twice. Okay. Thanks, guys, for your time. We really appreciate it. Ifeoluwa, thank you so much for your time. It was quite insightful. Myself, someone mentioned so much information in the session, and I think that's it. From what project management is, to the key terms, to key stakeholders, and the life cycle of project management. You try to touch everything, and it was quite insightful for everyone, including myself. I got to learn more about project management, and for people that are trying to get started, I'm sure it gave them a pretty good roadmap or what project management feels like. Although I also remember you mentioned that project management is 80% communications and meetings. So if you are going into project management, you're going to have a lot of calls. You are going to send a lot of messages. You'll be pursuing people up and down. I want to believe that project management includes that. But then all in all, it's fun, working with people in tech, working in the tech ecosystem, and every other thing that is involved. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the session. Thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate this. We also recorded this session, so I believe we are going to have some parts of the recorded session available for you to always, go back to. Thanks for your time, and then we are going to meet next session, whenever that is going to be.